Let's hopefully try and talk, if I can manage to do that, to Rick Gates, former deputy campaign manager for Donald Trump in 2016. Rick, thank you for coming on the show today. And, well, 2024, great year for you, I assume, for Donald Trump's, the return, Trump 2.0. What is 2025 going to look like? I have a feeling that the first 100 days are going to be crackerjack, that he's going to go great guns in trying to get things done.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. It has been a chaotic 2024. Hopefully 2025 will bring more success with Donald Trump. But look, he's largely given us the roadmap to what he's going to do in 2025. We saw it through the campaign. We're seeing it early in the transition. And it's largely going to focus on, kind of two areas, domestic policy and then resolving global conflicts. And there's no question issue number one on the domestic side is curbing immigration, protecting the border in the south, and even in north with Canada. And I think you've seen a lot of activity resonating around that specific area. And then obviously on the global side, there's a lot of conflicts that he wants to resolve, Ukraine, Russia being a prominent one that he's going to do very early on. But there's going to be a lot of tests, for Donald Trump early on with Congress. And we saw a little bit about that about a week ago when our government was in the process of shutting down. It was averted, but it was a test of how President Trump is going to have to work with Congress. But I expect that you'll see him use that executive branch power immensely. He will issue a lot of executive orders. Expect January 20th, the first day of his presidency, to be just littered with a lot of executive orders on a myriad of issues.
Yes, so do you think he's going to face many roadblocks? Because I think in America you call it the trifecta or whatever, that he's basically got power exactly where he needs it. Both sides of, what do you call it, both sides of the House, both levels? I don't know what the American term is for that. And then also the Supreme Court. So do you think there's going to be many sort of roadblocks in his way for managing to achieve Trumpism? Because I suppose one could argue back in 2016, it was far harder for him to get through the stuff he really wanted to do.
Yeah, if you look historically in our country, it's interesting when a president has controlled the White House and that same party controls Congress, whether it's Republican or Democrat, that party typically gets less done than when there is a bifurcated, Congress and White House. My hope is that Donald Trump is able to rectify that this time, given that he's a disruptor, given that he's a different type of president, as we saw in the first term and certainly will be in the second term. My hope is that he can corral Congress to get those key priority items that he wants done. He has a majority in the Senate, which is really strong. The House, obviously a little weaker. We'd like to have a greater majority there, but I think that's where the test is really going to be for him. But look, in politics, the devil is in the detail. And as he rolls out these policy issues, we're going to have to see where members have concerns, if they have concerns, and if they do, whether they're going to continue to support Trump or whether they're going to oppose him in some of these key votes.
And what about Elon Musk? Because that really is a sort of big headline appointment in Doge. Is that going to end up being more ceremonial? Because one sort of has to question how you manage to run all of these big companies. We know he's a workaholic. He sleeps, only sleeps about 6 hours every day and tends to sleep on the floor of wherever he's working. Is he going to have time to do everything that he wants to do? Will the relationship, will the bromance survive?
I think the bromance survives up until the point of where, again, they get into some key issues, maybe like China, where Elon has a different take than President Trump. But at the end of the day, President Trump is president, and he will overrule Elon Musk every time. But I think if you look at the dynamics of what is happening, you have Elon Musk, you have Robert Kennedy Jr., and you have Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump all trying to change how government works, how it operates. We've never had that kind of in our lifetime, and even Democrats would say, I never imagined those four individuals being on the same platform together trying to change our country. So I think if there's a team that can do it, this is it. I think Elon's a big piece of that. But at the end of the day, he will always defer, to President Trump on issues.
I mean, they're all quite sort of bloody-minded individuals, aren't they? They're all people who have conviction, who have beliefs, who are very confident in asserting their beliefs. Is that a recipe for disaster, though? It's sort of four alphas in one gang, or actually a sort of, because you were the deputy campaign manager for Donald Trump, so you know Donald. There's always the accusation that he's very difficult to work for. He's mercurial. He falls out with people easily. He doesn't listen to advisors. Is that true? Is that fair critique? Are we going to be in trouble with these four big personas together, or can you give us a different side of that story?
No, look, I think you're going to see some of that. Yes, he is a mercurial in ways, but he also likes to work and negotiate with people. He likes to end up getting some sort of deal closed. It may not be the deal that was, originally positioned from the beginning, but at the end of the day, he wants to show success. His greatest achievement can be approving as much of his agenda as possible and getting those things implemented for the American people. So it comes with risk and reward. I think the team that he has around him is extremely talented, extremely passionate and convicted about those issues, which is why I think it's going to, largely get done. But the issue is dealing with those typical political issues, those politicians that don't necessarily like that type of approach, and I think are going to show some pushback. So I think it'll depend on who has the stronger team. At this point, my money would be on Donald Trump and his team, but we're going to have to see how it develops, over the course of the first few months.
Well, we all wish the old new administration all the best this side of the pond. I'm going to be over for inauguration stuff, actually. I cannot wait. I'm very excited. I want to get a proper MAGA hat, and if I can get it signed by the president, even better. Rick, before I let you go, random question for you. Very random, but there is a method to my madness. Can you name me a Cliff Richard song?
No, I cannot. Sorry.
Americans don't know who Cliff Richard is.
No.
And my American friend said this to me the other day. And I was like, what? Do you know who Cliff Richard is?
I do know who he is, but I don't know his music very well.
See,
so
I thought Cliff Richard was like internationally famous, but America kind of missed the whole Cliff thing. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. It sort of proves my point. There's no Merry Cliffmas over in the States.
There's not.
Rick, thank you ever so much. And you never know, I might be seeing you in Washington, D.C. We might rub shoulders at some fancy events. Fingers crossed.